In a dilapidated house, blind homeless and women sleep on the spot. In the middle of the night, the woman woke up and quietly reached her hand into the homeless man's wallet. The homeless man pretended to be asleep, quietly tore off the hemp rope around her neck, and let the woman go with the money. The woman was originally handed over by the husband to his concubine. But someone offered 300 taels to buy it from the blind Zatoichi. Even though he was blind, he could always smell female skills. He believed the women on stage were natural beauties. So he bought the woman 500 taels. They both are in the broken house. But the woman stole in the middle of the night, to show her chastity. Without any explanation, the man pulled out his sword and stabbed him until he lost his life. Hearing an abnormal voice, he rushed out of the house, but it was too late, making homeless people to take care of the woman's funeral. My heart is full of guilt, and it's better to be bought by someone than to end up like this. Just as I was feeling sad, there was the sound of hurried footsteps behind me. With quick eyes and hands, and a sword as fast as lightning. Several people had already been slashed and stabbed by him before they came close, and continued to move forward. Now in the market, there is a background noise of gangsters in the market, like a roadside egg seller asking for security money. But the merchant refused to pay, so the gangsters destroyed his merchandise, but accidentally threw an egg into Zatoichi's mouth. Then Zatoichi spat the egg right in the gangster's face. The gangster was annoyed, and wanted to teach him how to make headgear. Unexpectedly, he turned his head sideways to make a headgear, and easily took off the money bag at his waist. Then threw it directly at the street vendors to make headgear. At the anniversary banquet, leaders from all parties came to celebrate birthdays and bring generous gifts. They just made headdresses and stretched their fingers, yes, just one or two. However, Boss Hay was not angry because he was cooperating with the same sick person, and he couldn't see with his eyes. However, as soon as he fell, he realized that the temperature of the water was abnormal. It turned out that the killer had hidden a cold steel knife in the water. In the narrow morning and evening, there were swords and swords, but fortunately Zatoichi was ready. He recognized his position by hearing the sound, like a white line on the waves, nimbly dodging the repeated slashes. Throw the homeless into chaos, climb out of the pool, grab the tub and throw it. The flying bathtub was precisely placed on their heads, and when the headdresses were made, steel blades were thrown at the right time. Dozens of big men were struggling desperately. A quarter of an hour later, a second man arrived with a large group of people. Unexpectedly, he had to get the homeless out of the bath alive. The second person invites him to make homeless at home. Pretend to scare, but actually ordered his subordinates to set a trap and take them. After toasting and drinking tea, his subordinates suddenly tugged at the pillow, and Zatoichi took out a knife like a sharp arrow from the rope, and the second person was killed on the spot. The assassination mission failed, and Boss Hay used the beauty trick again, letting the extraordinarily beautiful Sakura deliberately approach to trap the homeless, hoping to kill him off guard. However, as they mingle, Xiaoying discovers that Zatoichi is very different from the gangsters of the underworld, who only see money, status, and women as headgear. My heart is full of love and justice. Zatoichi and Xiaoying rushed forward, and there were assassins who wanted to surround them. Zatoichi replied calmly. He swung his knife like he was cutting a melon and vegetables. Such an unstoppable sword technique threw the samurai, following it into a tailspin. Not long after, someone sent a letter in Braille. It turned out that the boss of the underworld was about to leave the office, and invited him to attend the ceremony. Knowing that it was a Hongmen banquet, but he still decided to go to the meeting alone. Xiaoying accidentally fell on the road, and she had to stop the bleeding without saying a word. At this time, Xiaoying's heart changed. She couldn't kill the man in front of her. After wrapping it up, He embarrassed Zatoichi and ran off in a hurry. Xiaoying thought that her true identity could not be exposed, and she didn't want to make Zatoichi leave for a long time. But he came back here with a cart, and he pulled it. The cart carries the injured Xiaoying down the mountain, but accidentally slipped and fell off the cliff. Xiaoying slowly got up, but there was no sign of Zatoichi. Just when he thought Zatoichi had fallen to his death and shattered, suddenly Zatoichi climbs up with a beautiful flower for her. At this time, Xiaoying actually broke the defense. She didn't know how to tell him when she faced him. Then she ran away crying, and Xiaoying came back with nothing. When I returned to the guild, I found that Xiaoying didn't do anything to kill Zatoichi. Boss He didn't make any big moves, because I couldn't destroy Zatoichi. Then I will destroy you. Not long after, Boss He's retirement ceremony was held as scheduled, and he went straight to the banquet. The others prepared large fish and meat, but all he prepared for her was white rice. Do what he wants to do. At night, Boss He suggested that they team up to place a dozen life and death bets, and if they guessed wrong, they would die. If his guess was correct, he let Xiaoying go. The boss took out a few items as a test, his nose twitched, and the smell was so good that it was Xiaoying's body, and his mind suddenly became confused. He casually ordered the menu, but was double ordered by the boss. The boss left quickly to leave Zatoichi. When about to give chase, his underlings quickly took back the wooden bridge. One by one, they set fire sticks for Zatoichi. Conscious of being isolated and helpless, he had to swing a sword to break the bamboo, and was cut down. The fire stick fell into the pool, and the blazing fire was ignited to burn Zatoichi. He had to jump into the water to escape. Everyone watched the fire to see Zatoichi, but they disappeared. Boss He felt a little uneasy. Sure enough, several people holding the bamboo sticks fell down one by one. Turns out he's still alive. Boss He threatened Xiaoying, forcing her to make Zatoichi exchange his life. He walked slowly out of the darkness, but desperately dropped his iron staff, making Zatoichi manage to block it. The ending is a done deal, and the gangsters will come forward to avenge the boss. At this time, the samurai man following Zatoichi appears. He quickly cut through the chaos and didn't let Zatoichi end his life, because he could only die under his own blade. Thanks to the samurai man for the help. But he suddenly moved, and the two masters fought to the death. During the fight, the samurai man suddenly thinks of his ex-wife. Suddenly hesitant, took a step forward to attack Zatoichi. Takes the opportunity to cut his opponent. Just because this slow dance was the end of his life. He decided to continue his journey, and he felt he was on his way home. Destined to be on the road. Xiaoying asked her to stay as his wife, but she refused. He doesn't want to be bound by love for life like samurai men. After all, there is no woman in his heart, and he will go with the sword.